Hello, everyone. It's Charlton. Please subscribe to my channel. Tap the notification bell. I'd appreciate it. Majorly. All right. So, the president's younger brother, Robert Trump, was admitted to the hospital today at some point and is reportedly seriously ill. What he's ill with, we don't know. And, at first it didn't even occur to me. Sometimes things just go completely right over my head. But then I started, and all of a sudden dawned on me like, oh, he maybe has, COVID. And hopefully he doesn't. But he's great. He's seriously ill. It doesn't sound good. It sounds like he's, I don't know, that he may die. I mean, and the president is going to see him today. That's what the report is over at ABC. He was admitted to Presbyterian Hospital. I forget the damn name. New York Presbyterian Hospital, in New York, which is one of the top hospitals in New York. Whether he's in like the ICU or some other part of the hospital, that's not known. But again, he was described as very ill, either by Kayleigh McEnany or the president himself, and that it's not looking good. President Donald Trump will fly to New York City, and the president's going to visit him today. It says today, which could be like right now at the hospital. He was going to be going to Bedminster anyways for the weekend, which he probably still will ultimately after visiting his brother maybe in the hospital. And if he did have COVID, you wouldn't think that the president would be seeing him. I mean, I guess they could take extreme precautions so that he could still see him without, having any risk. Of contracting the disease, possibly, but I don't know. That doesn't seem terribly likely, being that he's the president of the United States. But you never know. You never know. And I mean, I was reading up on because he was in the hospital previously, and it seemed as though he had some other kind of condition, and it was during the COVID thing. I don't remember hearing about it in the news, but it was. He was in Mount Sinai for 10 days in the ICU. But I think Mount Sinai doesn't really do any COVID treatment except like post-COVID treatment, where they were just helping out the medical system, as I understand it, when I tried to look into this a little bit more. I mean, it says that he was in Mount Sinai for 10 days, the younger brother, and that he was, because, him and Trump, him and Donald, and I think the sister, they all came together to try to file a lawsuit against the niece, who's the daughter of Fred Jr., Fred Trump Jr., the oldest brother who died of alcoholism, to stop her to block her from releasing her book. And according to this report, he immediately upon being released from being in the ICU for 10 days in Mount Sinai, that's what he did. Robert Trump, is he filed a legal whatever to get the book stopped, and that didn't happen. But anyways, it says the younger Trump was discharged from the hospital. This is back in June after spending 10 days in the ICU at Mount Sinai, which treats people with serious brain trauma, such as tumors, seizures, subdural hematomas, coma, and stroke on Sunday, and filed the order against Mary Trump on Monday, the Daily Beast reports. So just to give you, it doesn't seem as though he was in the ICU for COVID then, even though COVID was in full blast, pretty bad, I guess, in June. I think New York was on its way to doing better by then, but I can't even remember. So, but that was Mount Sinai. Now he's in New York Presbyterian Hospital, and New York Presbyterian Hospital does have, does treat COVID patients big time. In fact, in the height of the COVID outbreak in New York, when things were terrible there, that was one of the hospitals. It was one of the top hospitals in New York that was very overwhelmed, and it basically describes over in this report. This is just a story back in April of this year about that, where doctors who normally didn't even work in the ICU in the emergency room were doing that. Like the head of urology was needed to just pitch in. I mean, I'm paraphrasing, but I'm just trying to give you an idea of that. COVID patients are housed in this hospital and in great numbers. I mean, it says, oh goodness. New York at New York but this is April 2020, so this is months ago, whatever, 4 months ago. Is that right? I think so. At New York Presbyterian, one of the largest and top-ranked hospitals systems in the U.S., 58% of beds are being occupied by COVID-19 patients as of Thursday morning. Corwin said, I guess it's a physician there. 500 patients in its ICU on ventilators. So this hospital was basically ground zero, it sounds like, for COVID back in April, 4 months ago. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Trump's brother has COVID. Everyone's wondering whether, it's over on Twitter. Not everyone, but people are thinking the same thing I was thinking, and basically people who don't like Trump are saying things, like this is, that if this hit his brother, and Trump's attitude towards the disease as it relates to the whole country, just saying things like that. And other people who defend Trump are saying that those kinds of comments are disgusting or whatever. So, but Trump is going to visit him. Even him going to visit that hospital, being the president, if it's just like I described, at one point was like, one of the ground zero points for the COVID response in New York. When at the height of the outbreak in New York, you would think that the president wouldn't be anywhere near that hospital, regardless of whether his brothers got it or not, if he's in that hospital. So it says the 72-year-old has been admitted to New York Presbyterian Hospital in Manhattan and was described as very ill. However, further details of his illness and condition have not been released. During a White House press briefing on Friday, the president said his brother is, quote, having a hard time, but did not elaborate on why he had been hospitalized. I wonder if I have a wonderful brother. We've had a great relationship for a long time. He's in the hospital right now. Hopefully he'll be all right. He's having a hard time, Trump told reporters before departing for New York. So, and I don't know how long ago that was. He's probably there now, and I'm sure we'll be getting an update on his condition and whether or not, what he has, what's wrong with him. If he was at Mount Sinai in June, which tends to treat whatever it said there, brain trauma, tumors, subdermal hematoma, and so forth, maybe, or in strokes, it's possible that he had a large stroke recently. That wouldn't shock me, and that sounds about right. That's him and his brother right there, and that's him and his brother and his sister. And that's New York Presbyterian Hospital where he's at right now. Trump had already been scheduled to travel to his country club in nearby Bedminster, New Jersey for the weekend. Hospital security guards were seen blocking off access to a street outside the medical center ahead of the president's visit earlier this afternoon. Robert, the youngest of 5 Trump siblings, had been previously hospitalized for 10 days in Mount Sinai Hospital in New York in June. He was admitted to the hospital's neurosciences intensive care unit, where he was treated for a serious condition. The Daily Beast reported around the same time Robert had filed a lawsuit against his niece, Mary Trump, seeking to block her from publishing a tell-all book on the president, etc. Doesn't look well there, that's for sure. Is that him? It is. And that's December 2019 right there. So we'll see. That's the story there, man. Thanks. Do I think he's got COVID? I would say probably not, But I'd say probably not. I'd say he's probably had a stroke earlier this year. And, once one of those things happens, once you have a big stroke, it sort of just many times progresses from there. It's just, for some, you deteriorate from that point on, if it's a big enough stroke. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe to my channel. Give me a like down below. I'll see you in the next video. Later, man.